Hello. So, recently, or not too recently, I purchased an iPad with an Apple Pencil, the first generation one at least, and I have since used it to draw under several occasions, mostly not being at my computer because I do prefer my Cintiq to it. But regardless, this video will be dedicated to me talking about my experience with it, what I think about it, and what I think about Procreate, because that seems to be the go-to software or app for the iPad when it comes to creating art. So to start off, I will like to say that the iPad is very easy to use if you are familiar with Apple and its products. I personally stick to it, or Apple products, because I know they have the most variety of apps, which is exactly the reason I decided to try this out. I know that this was also portable, very easy to carry around and use outside of the house, so that contributed to me getting it as well. And ultimately, I did get it for maybe $500 or a little above that. However, I do think you can definitely make up the money you spend on this if you are an artist who frequently takes commissions, or at least frequently advertises their commissions. I think that it's very enjoyable to use. I find a lot of joy in using it, and especially when it comes to Procreate, I really do like all of the brushes available for it. As you can tell from the speedpaint and my other pieces done on the iPad, I am particularly fond of sketchy brushes and watercolor textures. I am also particularly fond of the palettes that come within Procreate because they're very aesthetically pleasing. The main reason I got it was in the case of traveling or being outside of the home in situations where I would have the opportunity to draw, given I actually have the iPad on me. My only gripe with it happens to be that it takes so long to charge, and that happens to be a problem I've noticed with all Apple products. I'm not very impressed with how fast they charge, and I'm not very impressed with how fast they lose their battery. However, it is much easier to keep the battery at a high level for me on the iPad, probably because I don't use it for anything except for drawing. But I love the feeling of it. I love how thin and light it is. I love how smooth the surface is. I love how sleek the pen is. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm just a very big fan of the fact that Apple has access to so many applications. I like the variety in art apps that are available for the iPad. It gives me a lot of room to experiment. And if you know me at all, you may know that I like to experiment when I hit an art block. In other words, I have no motivation to draw, no ideas for drawing. I just like to either redraw old art, or I like to experiment with new things. So in the end, when it comes to that part, I think that the iPad is a great idea if you want a lot of things to experiment on. It's similar to a PC, where it has a variety of programs available. However, I also have issues using the iPad because I am used to an iPhone and only an iPhone, so I'm not quite aware of how to access certain things like brightness with the swipe of my finger like I do on the iPhone. However, that is also a very easy fix if I were to just Google it and keep it in my brain and remember it. Anyway, I really do enjoy the iPad and Apple Pencil. I think it was a great idea for whoever decided to create it, and I would definitely recommend it to somebody who is particularly fond of Apple products and who is looking for something very mobile and easily carried around. So if you have the money and you're interested in something that you can travel with, I would definitely recommend it. So thank you for watching and listening, and I will see you guys soon. So goodbye.